I wish I had never downloaded that app. It seemed harmless at first, just a quirky little thing that promised to predict my future artwork with unnervingly accurate insights. I was a struggling artist, drowning in my insecurities and self-doubt. My phone buzzed with a notification, and I felt a thrill of curiosity. What could it possibly show me? In that moment, I was standing in my cramped studio apartment surrounded by half-finished canvases and the smell of oil paint mixing with turpentine. The sunlight filtered through dust-laden windows, illuminating the chaos of my life. I opened the app, an innocuous little icon that I never thought would lead me down this dark path. The screen lit up with an abstract image, colors swirling in a way that felt almost alive. I stared at it, captivated. It looked familiar, yet foreign, like a memory I never had. "You'll create this," the app confidently stated, and I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it. I dismissed it as a gimmick. But as days passed, each prediction grew eerily accurate. Each artwork I created matched its forecast with uncanny precision. Yet, lurking beneath that initial excitement was a nagging feeling. Something wasn't right. Among the vibrant colors of my paintings, I began to notice shadows creeping in, dark splotches that had no place within the masterpieces. They seemed to whisper secrets I wasn't ready to hear. I brushed it off, convincing myself that they were merely manifestations of my stress. But the deeper I delved into this digital fortune-telling, the more unsettling the revelations became. One night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I got another notification. Warning: something dark approaches. My heart began to race. I was used to dealing with anxiety, but this felt different. I shrugged it off, thinking it was a random scare meant to keep people engaged. I laughed it off. I shouldn't have. The next morning, I woke up to a text from my best friend, Tom. "Did you hear about the fire at the old gallery?" My stomach dropped as I recalled the app's ominous warning. Suddenly, the shadows in my paintings felt like a premonition. I couldn't shake the feeling that they were tied to something I had yet to understand. I needed to know more. I spent hours scrolling through the app, searching for answers. The predictions continued, each more bizarre than the last. A painting of a family gathering, but the figures appeared distorted, their faces twisted with anguish. "This is just your imagination," I told myself, trying to convince the growing dread that my mind was playing tricks on me. But then came the third warning. "You must be careful. Danger lurks closer than you realize." The dread was palpable now, an invisible weight pressing down on me. I decided to confront the app's creators, convinced that it was all just an elaborate scheme. I was done playing games. But when I searched for contact information, the app vanished from my phone. I felt a cold sweat trickle down my spine. I could still see the predictions in my mind, vivid and unyielding. Later that week, I received a message. "I can help you." It was an unknown number. My heart pounded in my chest as I stared at the screen. "Meet me at the gallery." I felt a flicker of hope, but was quickly consumed by fear. What awaited me there? That night I arrived at the old gallery. The air was thick with tension and shadows lingered in the corners, waiting to reveal their secrets. As I stepped inside, the silence was oppressive. I switched on my phone's flashlight, illuminating the dust-covered canvases that lined the walls. They were my paintings, but twisted, grotesque versions that felt foreign. My breath caught in my throat as I realize they depicted events that hadn't happened yet, but were mirrored from my own life. Each brush stroke etched with the weight of impending doom. I could feel something watching me, waiting for the right moment to strike. Suddenly, the app reappeared on my phone, glowing ominously. I opened it to find a new prediction: your future is sealed. In a panic, I scrambled to exit, but the door slammed shut. I was trapped. I could hear whispers, like voices from a long-lost realm, growing louder, drowning my thoughts. I turned to see shadowy figures emerging from the walls, their faces indistinct yet hauntingly familiar. As the shadows advanced, a horrifying truth dawned on me. I had become part of an experiment, a living canvas for my darkest fears. Each artwork wasn't merely an expression of creativity. They were a blueprint for the tragic events destined to unfold in my life. The walls seemed to close in, and I felt myself slipping into madness. I tried to scream, but no sound escaped my lips. The last thing I remember was the app vibrating violently in my hand, revealing its final prediction: all will be lost. I woke up hours later in my bed, drenched in sweat. The app still in my hand, but now disabled. I could hardly breathe. Rushing to the window, I took a deep breath, the city alive below me. But as I glanced at my hands, I caught a glimpse of something on my skin. A dark, swirling mark that looked disturbingly like the last prediction. I stumbled backward, heart racing. What had I become? Had I escaped? Or was the horror just beginning? Days passed, and I tried to return to normalcy, but the mark never faded. I could feel it pulsing beneath my skin, a reminder of the darkness that lay ahead. It whispered to me at night, taunting, reminding me that my fate was intertwined with those sinister predictions. I avoided the app, but I could no longer ignore the truth. I was living in a world where reality blurred with the macabre. My next painting came uninvited, a grotesque vision that seeped into my mind, begging to be brought to life. I couldn't paint it. I couldn't let it out. But the more I resisted, the more the mark burned against my flesh. I sat in my studio, staring at the blank canvas, my heart pounding in my chest. The shadows danced around me, whispering sweet nothings of despair. I wondered if I could escape its grasp. I reached for my brushes, trembling, fearing that with each stroke I would unleash a darkness far greater than I was ready to face. As I painted, the mark swelled, the shadows growing bolder, pulling me deeper into despair. It was only a matter of time before I would face the truth I had been trying to deny. I was never meant to escape this fate. The app had merely shown me the path, and now I was forever trapped in its web of dark artistry. And as I painted the final stroke, the mark ignited, consuming me in darkness. What had I created? I turned to look at the canvas, my reflection staring back at me, twisted and incomplete. I could feel a sense of dread creeping in, a chill settled deep within my bones. There was nothing left of me now, only the shadows that had claimed my soul.